Every day there's a 2 hour period that nobody talks about. It's not 5 a.m., it's not some magical morning routine, it's the 2 hours after you've already spent the entire day working. When you're tired, your brain is fried, and you just want to sit down. And nobody would blame you for doing it, but I've started to think those 2 hours might be more important than the other 10, because that's when you find out whether you actually want the life you're talking about or whether you just like the idea of it. I know what it's like to come home from work and have absolutely nothing left. You open the door, you put your stuff down, sit in your bed for a second, and suddenly you're thinking, I'll just rest for 20 minutes. Then those 20 minutes become an hour. And then you look at the time and you think, I'll start tomorrow. And honestly, it happens to me too. I'm not a machine that wakes up every morning excited to work towards my dreams. Some days I come home and I don't want to trade, I don't want to edit these stupid videos, I don't want to go to the gym, and I don't want to read, and I just want to relax and turn my brain off. And that's exactly why I've started paying attention to this part of my day. Because when you're motivated, discipline is easy. When you're rested, discipline is easy. When everything is going well, discipline is easy. The real test is when you're tired and nobody is watching. For me, the day doesn't really end when I leave work. That's when another part of it begins. I get home and I trade, not because trading is some glamorous lifestyle. Most of the time it's sitting in front of a screen waiting for something that might not even happen. And then when I'm done, I work on YouTube. And sometimes I look at the clock and realize I've spent another 2 hours staring at a computer. And then there's the gym, and on rest days, more work. Then I shower, read for a while, and eventually fall asleep. Then I wake up and do it all over again. It sounds repetitive because it is, but that's the part I think people misunderstand about self-improvement. Everybody wants the transformation, but nobody wants the Tuesday night that looks exactly like a Monday night. Nobody wants that boring repetition, and nobody wants to spend months doing something without knowing whether it'll actually work. But that's what the process is. It's mostly boring. I've come to realize something uncomfortable. I don't actually need more time. I need to stop wasting the time I already have. Because I used to think I'll start when I have more time, and when work gets easier, when I have more money, or when I get better at trading, and when I know what kind of videos to even make. But there's always going to be something. There's never going to be a perfect period of your life where everything lines up. There will always be work. There will always be problems, and there will always be someone you're tired of. You'll always have something else you could be doing, and if you keep waiting for perfect conditions, you can wait forever. I think that's why the 2 hours after work are so important, because they're not really 2 hours, they're a choice. You can spend them consuming or creating, escaping or building, recovering or progressing. And I'm not saying you should work every second of the day, but that's not what I'm talking about. Sometimes you genuinely need to rest because it's the best thing you can do. Sometimes you need to do absolutely nothing. And that's not failure. It's just the problem is when rest becomes your default. When you spend every morning recovering from a life you don't even want, while telling yourself you're going to build a different one someday. That's the trap. And there's another thing I've noticed. The more you repeat something, the less dramatic it feels. The first time you go to the gym after work, it feels like discipline, and the 20th time, it's just Tuesday. The first time you sit down to edit when you're exhausted, it feels like you're sacrificing something. But then eventually, you just sit down and edit. That's when I think discipline actually starts working. Not when you're constantly fighting yourself, but when the thing you used to have to force yourself to do becomes normal. You stop asking yourself, Do I really feel like doing this? And you just do it. Now that's what I'm trying to build. Not motivation, but a life where the things I want to accomplish become ordinary. Trading, creating, training, reading, and learning. It's not because I'm constantly inspired and motivated by other factors of life to do that, but because they're simply what I do. And I think there's a much more powerful goal than becoming motivated, because motivation is emotional, and your emotions change every day. Your standards don't. Well, I mean, they shouldn't, at least. There's something almost depressing about realizing this, actually, because it means there's no dramatic moment coming to save you. Nobody's going to knock on your door and give you discipline, and nobody's going to suddenly give you 5 extra hours every day. Nobody's going to tell you exactly what you should do with your life. And there probably isn't going to be a day where you suddenly wake up and feel completely ready. It's just going to be another Wednesday. Life goes on. The world goes on, whether you want it to or not. You're going to be tired, you're going to have work tomorrow, and your goals are still going to be far away. And you're going to have to decide what you do tonight. That's it. That's all you have to do. That's the game. Sometimes I think about what my life would look like if I stopped. Not because something terrible happened, just stop trying. I could come home from work, sit down, scroll, and play video games. How does that sound? Going out on weekends, sleeping, and repeating it. I mean, honestly, there isn't anything inherently wrong with that life, but that's what makes it difficult. Comfort causes discomfort later on. Nobody would tell me I'm destroying my life. It would probably curve perfectly fine, and that's what scares me, because comfort doesn't always feel like a prison, but at the end of the day it is. Sometimes it feels like a couch. Sometimes it feels like I'll do it tomorrow. Sometimes it feels like another episode, another hour on your phone, another weekend, another year, and then one day you look back and you realize you didn't lose your life. You never really used it up to the fullest. And I don't want that. I'm not saying that because I know I'm going to succeed. I don't. Maybe trading won't work for me, and maybe this channel goes nowhere. Maybe I'll change my goals completely in 5 years. Maybe I'll look back at this video and think I was an idiot. That's possible, but there's something I know for certain. If I spend every evening doing nothing because I'm afraid that my effort might not pay off, I'll guarantee one outcome, that nothing will change. But at least if I try, there's a possibility that one of these videos reaches someone, a possibility that I become good at trading, a possibility that the hours I'm putting in eventually create something bigger than what I have now, and honestly, that's enough for me. So, I've stopped thinking about my life in years. I don't think about where will I be at 25, because that's too far away. Instead, I think about tonight. What am I going to do with my life tonight? Because my future isn't built 5 years from now, it's built tonight, and tomorrow night, and the night after that. It's built in those tiny moments that feel completely insignificant while you're living them. Opening the laptop, going to the gym, reading 10 pages a day, making one more video, taking one more trade every single day, going to sleep and then doing it again and again and again every single day. Maybe that's the part of self-improvement that nobody wants to hear. Because there is no secret. There is no perfect routine. There is no morning where you suddenly become a completely different person. They're just repetition. The person you know and you became is the result of what you repeatedly do when nobody is forcing you to do it. Think about it. That's why I care so much about those hours after work, because nobody is telling you what to do anymore. Nobody cares whether I edit the video, nobody cares whether I train, nobody cares whether I read, and nobody cares whether I waste my entire evening. Well, I do, and you should too. Maybe that's what growing up actually is for me. Realizing that my life is eventually going to become my responsibility. Not my partner's, not my teacher's, not my boss's, but mine. So, tonight, when I get home from work, I'm probably going to be tired and I'm probably going to want to sit down. And maybe I'll give myself some time to breathe, but eventually I'll open up my computer and I'll look at the charts and I'll work on this channel, I'll train, and I'll read, and then I'll go to sleep. Nothing dramatic will happen, nobody will applaud me, nobody will even know. And tomorrow I'll do it all over again. Because maybe the life I'm trying to build isn't created by the moments when I feel unstoppable. Maybe it's created by the nights when I feel completely ordinary and decide to keep going anyway. That's the part that nobody sees, but maybe that's the part that really changes everything.